So I am the substitute presenter, so to speak. And actually, the timing works perfect. So unfortunately, Irfan could not make it. We had Zoom challenges, as Timo mentioned. And I had a presentation right at the back end to talk about this community. And ironically, the whole sequencing, I thought, worked very well with Helmut's messaging. Just a little bit about my background. I think a number of you sort of know me, but 1993, I attended my first Sapphire in Orlando. No, not Orlando, San Diego in 1993. There were basically 1,800 people at that event. ASUG was but a tag-on day to that event in 1993. And I attended the ASUG side. I basically immediately was inspired being a volunteer with the America's SAP's user group. So 1993, I helped set up the utilities community, the Ontario chapter. I lived in Toronto, got involved in the board of directors, many different communities over the course of time. So communities, ironically, have been so much a part of my life, as well as ASUG and SAP. My wife and I, my first son was born in 1994 with the first SAP Go Live, when we started the SAP project. My second son was born in the Go Live year. I've seen the progress of time over the years, given the growth of my kids, who are now 28 and 30. And ironically as well, hope I get this date right, I got married in 1991. I had the honor of celebrating, my wife had the honor, I don't think she felt it was an honor, of celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary at Sapphire, which was also ASUG's 25th anniversary as well. So what a treat that was, I'm sure, at that point in time. And there's a saying from Henry Ford, that old saying that I love, coming together as a community. Coming together is the beginning, working together is progress, staying together is success. And that's what we've been doing as a community for many years. I just want to take you through a few highlights of where we've come and where we're going. And I'm going to have an ask of you at the end. The ask of you at the end is help us help you. Helmut talked about a number of things from a community side, discussions, different forums and different things. We really want to hear from you in terms about, you've heard a lot in the last little while, what we can do as a community. We have reach into SAP, we have reach into partners in so many different dimensions, right? We can do a lot together. So think about those things, and we'll have a Mentimeter poll afterwards with some word streams on that as well for you to share your perspective. So I want to get your input. And I shared with you this slide back on day one. All these 8 C's of community you've experienced somewhat over the last few days. And our intent, more so than I think any other year, is to make sure what happens here does not live and die on the day. It doesn't live and die on this room. We mentioned before, we're going to take the content from here. We're going to share a presentation with next week. We're going to do a series of 30 blogs in April on content inside the sessions like we did last year. We're going to share with the YouTube channel. And all this stuff, I'm not into one, and this event is just an annual thing and we don't communicate in between. We want to move the needle. So many of you raised your hands in terms about said, you weren't architects, but you were SAP professionals wanting to be enterprise architects. How are we going to help you evolve? How are we going to help you even get your enterprise architect certifications? That's what we want to do as a community. And one thing I'll share with you as well afterwards is a link to the March 27th webcast at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where we're going to talk about all the different learning vehicles, no matter where you're at in your journey, how you can evolve. Some of you experienced that partially in a session today. Yesterday, sorry. Funny, I did this article for SAP Info magazine back around 2004 when we set up the ASUG Enterprise Architecture community back in the day, with support of Shia Gussie back in the time. Wanted enterprise architects. Kind of funny, later, a little over 20 years later, very much wanted enterprise architects might be the phrase, right? We had a vibrant community back in, sort of when I think of the origins side, I'm almost thinking of who is the Wolverine origins back in the day in a way. That crossed my mind in a weird kind of way. But anyways, back then it was like the bridge between business IT we talked about back in the day. If you look at kind of going forward and beyond, 5 years ago in 2020, this week actually, we were in this room, 200 people that were here for the first event. COVID got in our way just a little bit. Did 2 virtual events, one with ASUG and one with Insider in 2021 and 22, that had over 3,500 people virtually into both of those back in the day. And ironically, a bit of a funny story, in 2020, Sapphire 2020 was going to be in Orlando. Following the event, it was Gardner. LeanIX was actually a one-day event tied on to the Gardner event. And I thought, hey, May 2020, I was going to go to Sapphire, stay on to meet this company called LeanIX back in the day. Roll forward, 2021, when I did the virtual event. I invited a speaker, Christian Richter from LeanIX, to be a keynote at the event. 2022, Andre Christ, the CEO of LeanIX, keynoted that event back in the day. And somehow along the way, SAP acquired them in November of last year. 2024, we did the Enterprise Architect event. You know, and a bit of a backstory on that. 2024, we did the event after a 4-year hiatus. And it was interesting. Anup Das, who's in the front row, I think it was September, Anup, reached out to me and said, Paul, I'm doing a book with Peter and Johannes on enterprise architecture with SAP. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's pretty cool. I mean, SAP just acquired LeanIX in around that time. Well, the idea was before that. I actually locked in Andre Christ as a keynote, I think in August of 2023. So I had all these SAP execs locked in, including Andre. Anup gives me a call and said, we're working on this book. Isn't that cool? A community first event and a book, right? So I've known for this book for a heck of a long time, but I don't think we could talk about it till, when was it? September of last year, right? So imagine having a community and having a book together to support the community. That's pretty cool. So that was another motivation behind, we had to go through with the 2024 event, right? And we had such a great community. Roll forward, you folks saw the video earlier on about the Academy thing we did. That was another experiment by the community. We experiment as a community in San Ramon. Brought together an amazing group of people with Frozen team, had an amazing group of speakers as well. And both those events we are going to replicate. In the next Academy is happening October 13th to 17th in San Ramon again. A cohort is going to go through it. And by the way, teaser alert, I did not make a slide on it. 1 year from today, we're coming back in here, February 23 to 26, I think, same 4-day pattern in 2026 for this event. So we're booked, we got the room booked, and we'll be starting probably a number of months planning for that. You know what's interesting? We did that hiatus from 2021 to 2022. I think it was 2023, I did 19 meetups across North America working with SAP in different cities. These half-day forums where we get together in the afternoon, do more listening than talking with architects in different cities, and then unpack some different subject streams to get their questions answered. So in every one of these meetups, I would actually say in the room, in every one of these cities, I would ask, someone would say in the room, Paul, I was at that event in 2020, when are you doing it again? Every single city. So then we had to do the 2024, right, that then led to this, which was pretty cool. And then if you look at, and I'm going to show some of the picture of some of the things we did in 2024, we did architects forums, we did meetups, we did things at Sapphire, we did different webcasts, a whole string of activities from January to August. And we actually launched with Wendy Keene as well, a business architecture essentials course for enterprise architects. We launched this ebook. So that came out in May 1st of this past year. So we're taking as well what's been going on behind the scenes here. Not just do we have the videos here with the videos in track 4, we've been using Otter.ai to do transcriptions of all the sessions that have been happening. We take all this material, we take the presentation, we take the videos, and it constructs the ebook on that, which is a resource for you folks. And it's a resource that Gresh mentioned earlier on that actually helped him get an SAP job in the mix. And I think we had like 25,000 copies that we will produce this again of the content from this event. So the team will ready that stuff together as well. And this was the latter part for September to December. One thing I'm going to share with you next week as well. I've been collaborating with group, the Henley Business School and gentleman Oliver Broussard, there is an EA skills survey that you can take as well. Take about 30 minutes of your time, and it's worth the investment. So you will get, there's 40 different architect capabilities, and they're nothing to do with SAP. Enterprise architect capabilities that you will get your personal results on from it, on that. And we'll do a group overview of what some of the key areas are in the survey. So we're going to share that with you freely to do that, all in the intent of advancing community overall. I would further add to that, and what we started last year was different collaborations with different user groups, ASUG, Tech Connect, and different activities. And I'll go a little further that in a minute. Here's my simple view of our community. Helmut touched on the community overall. I just view the enterprise architects as the center of the world. Are you guys with me on the center of the world of everything? Makes sense? So we have all these, I term it C2C, community to community. There's so many things that we can do together as a community, collaborating with each other. And one of the ways it manifests itself here was the Women in Enterprise Architecture. We had coming together the SAP Business and Women's Network. We had coming together ASUG's Women Connect and Women in ERP. Actually, kudos, and I'll flag Abby here who's in the front row. Abby did here, I'm partially to blame for this, 10 podcasts over the last few days with a lot of amazing people. Alexander, where's Alexander? I call him a bit of a slacker. He only did 5. But to be fair, yours were like an hour and a half. Each one, okay. So both of them were here doing podcasts behind the scenes with people that we were sharing. So the collaboration community that we're doing, and Kelly Dowling from what ASUG was up earlier, I view basically ASUG as the home user group for North America as well. We are talking to the Australian, the UKI user group, the French user group, in communication with the German user group. There are 40 different user groups around the planet, 40 plus different user groups around the planet. So we're working on sharing information, programming across the board to elevate so many at scale is what we're up to as a community. And reaching in as well the whole SAP community network as well in the mix. So I view my simple title, the SAP ecosystem is a community, and the SAP community is truly everywhere. This as well, just going through the book for a second. You know, one thing that really resonated with this event, everyone says they love digital, right? Everyone does sort of love digital. I was stunned in terms of how many people wanted this physical book. It was off the charts. And we're going to figure out ways to, Anup, Peter, and Johannes, do you gentlemen want to stand up for a second? First of all, you gentlemen, you folks have never been together around this book, right? This is your first time. First time. And funny story as well is that we did the Architects Academy back in October, but you can't wave up a digital thing, right? The book wasn't released till November. So I actually had SAP Press print a dummy book as well with front cover and back cover and nothing inside. And a barcode, right? That's how you wave the book. That's how you guys had pictures with the book that really didn't exist. So what we are doing as well is unpacking this as a resource to help you in many different forms. You know, some webcasts with these gentlemen. They're going to be involved in pre-conference sessions at ASUG Sapphire in Orlando in many different ways. And what a great resource for the community. But join me in thanking these guys for the amount of effort they took to do this. Family time, incredible. So let me talk a bit about sort of just ideas for 2025 and beyond and some of the things we're working on as a group. When I say we're working on communicating with user groups, Helmut's team, other teams, and that to sort of take things out. So more in-person events from basically forums like this, yes, forums like the Academy, localized meetups, and other things with ASUG I'll talk about in a minute. Lots of opportunities. As I mentioned, we're going to get the 2025 edition of the ebook that's out. Virtual events and webcast series as well. There are so many different streams that you folks are interested in, right? Having streams around different themes of content to further move the needle. So you'll see more of that in collaboration with others. Also as well, to take things further at scale, more, I mentioned collaborations, partnerships, Linux collaborations. I was very pleased as well with tenants we had inside this event at the LeanIX training as well. So that was great to see. And the other thing we've talked about, and William, pay attention to this one off your phone because this is the playbook topic that we're going to, he was the guy that, it was, I think last year you and I talked about the playbook, right? A crowdsource, an enterprise architect's playbook in essence. You know, building a better practice, different things, right? So let's crowdsource from the community input into that playbook so we can all use it together. And you know, and that relates to, we had a whole table of contents and ideas and items to share. So we'll probably launch that playbook collaboration initiative in April as well. We've had a lot of feedback as well from people about, I don't have an architect practice, I'm just starting one. You know, how do I get an architect practice moving my organization? Or if I don't have one, what things can I do to further do what I could be doing if I have one in spite of where things are in my company? Does that sort of make sense as well in that regard? Because I've heard a lot of requests for that. I mean, the thing as well, you know, there's a saying that, maybe out of context, but let me explain it. Is basically, you've heard the saying as well that you may not be replaced by AI, but you may be replaced by someone who is augmented by AI, right? You've heard that? Well, I would add to that from a EA side as well, think of the community as augmenting you in the mix as well. So we'll share different things. I'm not sure if any of you caught William's talk about, it wasn't about SAP technology so much, but basically how architects today can use AI to augment themselves. So we'll do some more around that stream as well. Let's see. And the other thing, you know, I'm not a big fan of the term volunteers for anything. There's a friend of mine, nothing wrong with that, but I mean, I like the term a friend of mine uses who runs a community of practice at JP Morgan Chase. Their, quote, volunteers are emergent leaders. That, to me, is a much better term. So we'll start engaging emergent leaders to help with the community overall. And inputs on different streams across the board. This was 2024. We'll update the programming. So these were some of the topic streams we talked about in different forms and fashion in 2024. We are going to be taking information out of this event, other information in the market and things we're hearing as well, and come up with a program for 2025. And one thing, we're going to do a post-event survey that'll share with you folks. And my ask of you is, I would usually say, hey, fill in the survey, and if you don't do it, I won't give you the presentations. I said that last year. The survey responses were pretty darn high. But I'll tell you, I will give you presentations anyways. My ask of you, with all we've done as a team to pull this together, we really want your input as well. And the survey, I'll warn you, is not a survey, did you like the food, blah, blah, blah. Did you like this, blah, blah, blah. We know the food here was good. We know the facilities here were pretty good. Yeah, a few little hiccups. But what we want to know, there'll be some questions that will ask you to write some detail, right, on it. It's pretty simple. Some survey people don't like that because they view it harder to analyze, right? What I want to hear is truly what's on your mind about topics. How can we help you in AI? Other things from a skill side, whatever it is. So we'll have questions inside the survey that are free text to put in. And we'll analyze that information to help in the programming. Does that seem fair? Everybody? So we'll have a list for 2025 that we work on with the user groups and others. And Kelly was on early on. Just let me go back for a second. I see this slide. Did I change that? Okay. So the other thing that's arisen, I've had so many people asking me from different parts of the world, Paul, it's wonderful that you're doing this stuff in North America, right? What about me? What about coming to the Middle East? What about coming to Asia? What about coming to Australia? So, pardon? And sorry, William, I didn't see that coming. I knew that was coming. William's been hounding me for at least a year now about doing an event in Paris. The only reason Timo's here is he also speaks French and in Paris. He's here for more than that, right? To do events, and we'll do a day and a half, different iterations of something like this in different cities. So you'll see more of that happening. And you know, we did the Academy in October. So I immediately get after Helmut's team was at the Academy. We got to do Europe. We got to do Academy in Europe. So we're working on those things. And from an ASUG context, Kelly was here earlier talking as well. So here's some things we're collaborating on from an ASUG side together. And actually, we're going to have some meetings later on today to further unpack the exact timing of some of these things. So we did this event as a collaboration together. And as I said, ASUG to me is the home user group for us as a community. And plus, having spent good parts of my latter life working with ASUG, I have a bit of fondness towards them. And as a Canadian, we're going to do something in my own country. You know, and no 51st state, my own country, we're going to do it inside. Because it's tough for Canadians to get here for a couple of reasons. Well, maybe some, anyways, you know, the other stuff going on. But probably one of the prime reason, our dollar is freaking brutal. So, I mean, the exchange rate of coming here, oh my God, it's awful. For you guys, Canada's on sale. I mean, you folks can visit Canada anytime. I mean, it's awesome. Visit Alberta, Calgary, Banff. I'll give you my Paul's Guide to Banff or whatever, but it's on sale. So we're going to drop something in Toronto this year. We've got a lot of exciting stuff we're going to line up for Sapphire as well. A full-day pre-conference session at Sapphire. We're going to do that. We're going to have some of the authors there as part of that pre-conference session. And here's something I'll share with you. And we are going to give away to the 70 or 80 plus attendees a physical copy of the book. Doesn't that make sense? But there's only one problem. So when there are problems, there are sometimes opportunities. You cannot give away at Sapphire a physical book. It's sustainability, it's whatever on that. Physical books are not allowed on Sapphire. Doesn't that suck? But we are having an EA party at Sapphire at the Blue Martini on Monday night, right? And what we're going to do is, guess where people who were at the pre-conference session need to go to get their book and meet the authors? Where? The party. So they will come and they will get the book and sign. So that's a bit of a creativity to work around certain things. The other thing I'm excited about is ASUG is bringing back a number of their track streams. They were shut down sort of post-COVID. ASUG is bringing back a few different subject areas, tracks of sessions. There will be a 12 session track for enterprise architects at the event as well. So that is new, and I think that is good. We're going to do collaborations with ASUG chapters. We're going to do some meetups in association with ASUG. And actually, interesting about this event is the fact that the biggest industry, I think I mentioned earlier, represented is utilities. I'm a utility customer, so I have excessive fondness for that group. So we are also getting architects together by industry, starting with utilities. And there's a utility event that ASUG runs that's been running since 2008. 2008. So we are going to get architects together for a full-day event at the front end of SAP for utilities as well. So architects get you in the front end. Some of the stuff will be cross-industry content, a little bit with industry, before they unfold the next few days into very industry-specific content. As well as, I think it's October, maybe it's in Houston, oil and gas and chemicals are getting together as well. So we'll get architects together in those industries in around that event. We're also looking at doing forms of deep dive and master classes on different themes, right? So unpacking in detail, sometimes just doing a 30, 40-minute webcast is not enough, right? You know, spending time with these gentlemen on the book, you're just getting a scratch of the surface on that. So taking some subjects and going deeper as well, be it physical or virtual in that. As well, I mentioned San Ramon. I'll mention as well collaboration with ASUG Tech Connect. ASUG put a lot of EA content in their Tech Connect that was in November in West Palm Beach. The same thing will happen on ASUG Tech Connect as well. So that's pretty good stuff. I mentioned the book. It'll be coming out 2025, the ebook. And I just go back to my 8 C's again on the collaboration, right? Content, curation and sense making, curriculum, things across the board. So a lot of things will be rolling out, and I'll skip through. One thing I'll just close and touch on before Timo will put up his Mentimeter. It's ready? You're way ahead of me all the time. You can get back next year if you want to, right? Pass the audition in flying colors. So 2004, I mentioned we had it was the ASUG Enterprise Architecture Community. Architecture. This is an architect's community. technology skills, and as you saw in some of the session, the human skills we've touched on as well. And you'll see a couple of great sessions coming in the latter half in the morning around storytelling and building movements. James Marland on storytelling and building movements by Feroz. We are going to do quite a bit on how you, going back to Rashad, upgrade your operating system as well, how we get better, because we can't expect with all the technology changes happen, we will have to need to change as well. So we'll be doing a lot on the human skill side. So playbook, actually just very quickly on that, stay tuned in April, we'll do some things to unpack the playbook. And lastly as well, we have a LinkedIn group for the community if you're not part of it. I try to post in things that you folks might want to pay attention to from a LinkedIn group. So I encourage you, join this community. I generally post a lot of the first things is about YouTube channel, different things inside that community to the group that you need to know and do. So, Timo, Ryan, can you put it up? So this will be a word stream on here. So again, help us help you. What are some of the things that you think we should do to help you as a community?
So if you go back to the Mentimeter you used for the quiz. This is where we find out if people know how to type on a phone. If you're my daughter's age, you can rattle out sentences faster. Huh?
QR.
Well, so that you can, yeah, I can try and add that. You can add otherwise you can use Menti at the top. Go to menti.com and put in the code there.
And William, for you, don't just put bring an event to Paris. I've got that one down. There we go.
And you can also vote on others if you see one that you would otherwise have written or you like, then vote it up.
William, was Build a Playbook yours? You're not so anonymous.
That's good. The QR code blocks the comment.
Study groups. Has anyone heard of a concept called flipped learning? Do you know what flipped learning is? So, when I went to school once upon a time, we would sit in classrooms, right, and all just listen to the same boring professor drone on and on and on. So the concept of flipped learning is you watch something, and then when you gather, you talk about what you learn, and you get more out of it and more impact as well. So while you're doing some of this, and we'll just take a couple more minutes and then we'll go to break. One thing I really want to thank you. So I'll say some words first, and then I'll do a bit of a thank you for you folks on something, because we're not done, right? So I'm going to do a bit of thank you on something, but we still have a number of great sessions to follow from a number of great ladies, as well as James, as well as Feroz. Thank you for these last few days. I mean, you've been we've had some ebbs and flows and some different things, managing. Jessica Lee and team are just awesome in terms of helping organize everything and around this, right? So knowing you have more people than some of the aspects of the facility can handle, how easily you folks flowed from. Jess and I were thinking, what if people don't get fed? What if they don't have enough places to sit down and things like that across the board? Like, food does matter a lot to people. But you folks were great in ebb and flowing between the second and third floor and the cafe and different stuff, and the evening receptions as well. So we appreciate as organizers the fact that, here's the one thing about a community. We're not SAP, don't take this wrong, Helmut, SAP slick. We will have speed bumps and things around the way. We will have some things that may be a little off, but that's okay for community as a whole, right? So thank you again for that. And feel free to put in some more comments. Enjoy the break. Continue the networking as well. And just feel free to reach out anytime. And I figure I better not take a flag photo myself. That's kind of awkward on my talk. So we'll see you in a bit. So back here at 11 as well. Thank you.